Well, the biggest joke of them all is the hypocrisy and stupidity of those, like this clown Chris Bowen, currently preaching climate change at your expense to the Balinese. Oh, that must be onerous. Those who intend to mandate that we all adopt electric vehicles in order to save the planet.
Here we are, CK, Climate Change Minister and Transport Minister, go for a drive. And of course, if we're going to go for a drive, we're going to go for a electric vehicle. So
absolutely. It's a great Hyundai. I've been in one of these before. It's a terrific car.
Honestly, but here's the irony. In promising to ban petrol and diesel cars and utes and SUVs, Bowen and his cohorts are merely copying the playbook of the lunatic left in California. In California last week, the ultra-woke progressive Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom was boasting and skiting to the New York Times about his legislation that will ban all petrol and diesel cars from Californian roads by 2035. But that was last week. This week, well, earlier today, the same governor was urging Californians, desperately urging them to avoid using large appliances, and charging electric vehicles, and turn off unnecessary lights. Yes, that's right, there's a heat wave. The power grid can't cope, just as I was predicting only yesterday on this show, which will be happening here under Chris Bowen's insane energy-sapping policies if we carry on down this road. And so, everybody is told in California not to charge their electric vehicles. What are they going to do? They're going to walk. This is absolute madness. You can't make this stuff up. But of course, it's California, and California is Hollywood, and that is precisely where people do make stuff up. And they make billions of dollars making stuff up, like Star Wars or Indiana Jones or all the rest of Hollywood's fantasy unreal world. Which is possibly why those who are most successful in Hollywood struggle to recognize the repulsive hypocrisy of their own actions. Here's Harrison Ford or Han Solo or Indiana Jones to you and me.
It's hard to devote yourself to a cause that is so urgent and not be able to get the traction needed to make the change that is absolutely necessary. It's hard to read the headlines, floods, fires, famines, plagues, and tell your children that everything is all right. It's not all right. Damn it, it's not all right.
But damn it, Harrison, apparently it is all right, for you at least. You see, Harrison Ford has made at least 8 trips in his private jet, a multi-million-dollar Cessna Citation Sovereign, stretching roughly 5,284 miles and emitting about 35 metric tons of carbon dioxide in less than 2 months. That's according to the recently released data from ADSB Exchange and Celebrity Jets. That was just in 2 months. But that's amateur hour compared to Harrison Ford's Hollywood buddy, Steven Spielberg. The same data set that pinged Indiana Jones for his hypocrisy shows that Steven Spielberg's private jet has burned through more than $116,000 worth of jet fuel just since June. His Gulfstream made no less than 16 trips, spanning 17,000 miles since June 23, despite the Hollywood director claiming that he's terrified of climate change. Not so terrified, obviously, but Spielberg's not alone in the eco-hypocrisy stakes. Nor is this the first time he's been caught out.
Steven Spielberg's plane traveled just 17 minutes for a trip in the Netherlands. Mark Wahlberg took a 9-minute flight across California on his jet. Kim jetted around LA for a 10-minute trip on her $150 million private plane. And of course, Kylie Jenner is also being called out for her 12-minute trip on her PJ, that means private jet.
Ah, yes, the climate lovies of Hollywood. But not to be outdone, John Kerry, who is Joe Biden's climate czar, had the hubris to claim recently that flying was
the only choice for somebody like me who is traveling the world to win this climate battle.
Of course it is, John. Just as I imagine that swilling in-flight champagne is the only way for someone like you to keep from getting thirsty as you tirelessly fight the climate battle. Then there's Leo DiCaprio, famous for lecturing us all about climate change before nipping off to relax on his $150 million, 315-foot-long luxury super yacht with its own gym, swimming pool, beach club, movie theatre and helipad, which only costs, a lazy kinda $500,000 Aussie dollars every time you need to fill her up, Leo. But not to be outdone is the man dubbed eco-hypocrite-in-chief. Yes, Prince Harry, the royal who fled to Hollywood to escape the oppression he and his ghastly wife had to endure as two pampered royals in the British royal family, and who last month felt the urgent need to lecture the whole world at the United Nations about climate change.
Climate change wreaking havoc on our planet, with the most vulnerable suffering most of all.
Well, he's right about that. The last bit, it is the most vulnerable who suffer the most, but fortunately for Harry and Meghan, they're neither vulnerable nor suffering. Indeed, this week, the charming climate crusading prince got into an electric vehicle to drive him to his private jet, to take him to a polo match, while his polo kit travelled in a gas-guzzling SUV. So, with hypocrisy Hollywood's greatest export, after all, most of the woke films they churn out these days are not only unwatchable, but also universally box office disasters. Is it any wonder that normal, everyday, hard-working Californians have had enough of the intolerable selfishness, the out-of-control crime, the drugs, the lawlessness, the homelessness, and the oppressive COVID restrictions that have turned California, what was once paradise, to paraphrase Joni Mitchell, into a parking lot for woke left-wing lunacy? And this is the insanity that Chris Bowen intends to inflict on this, our very own paradise, Australia. But desperate people are now fleeing California and literally moving their families and businesses to conservative states like Florida. According to the satirists at the Babylon Bee, even the Beach Boys must be wishing they could leave California.
Steps back in theses, you gotta watch your step up there. And in Los Angeles, with all their homeless camps, the tents and drugs are everywhere. In Napa, Newsom drops some $15,000 on wine. But in the rest of the state, with all the mass mandates, they keep us all locked up real tight. I wish we all could leave California now. I wish we all could leave California now. Well, Texas has more freedom and pistol grips out there on banned. I think a Florida place with no mask on my face and no income tax sounds grand. I've been all around this country, state, my time is about spent. Yeah, but I couldn't spot even one U-Haul lot that had a single truck left to rent. And if some U-Hauls